Hi everyone, Tori here with another Project Life process video. This one is called The Little Things in February, and I'm scrapbooking some random or little things photos from February. I purposely scrap behind because I don't like to be stressed out about being on time. So I am scrapbooking photos from like just under a year ago, and then I don't have to worry about being caught up because I just know that I'm not caught up. Um, Now, I don't know if this is something you'd be interested in, but I thought I would talk about it anyways, just to see if it is something you might be interested in. I wanted to sort of walk you through the process of how I go about selecting my photos. So, what I typically do is I will print off all the photos for one entire month. So when I started February, I printed off all of the photos for February and selected all of the photos. Well, first, I go through my photos and I select all the photos from February that I really like. Then I pick out which ones I want large, so 4 by 6, which ones I want medium, as in 3 by 4, and I put two 3 by 4s on one card, and then which I want a little smaller or in a collage, and then I print those off. And I print them all off using my Canon Selphy because I'm too lazy to be bothered to upload them or take them to Walmart or Staples or some other printing place, so I print them all off with my Canon Selphy. Then I go through all the photos and I just with a pen, I lightly write on the back of the photo the date of all of them. That's because I know that I will forget to include the date and I don't want to have to go look it up on my calendar. And if I write it on the back of my photos, then just before I stick the photo down, I can look at what the date is. So, so first I select all the photos, then I organize them into what size I want them, then I print them, and then I write the date on all of them, and then I put them in order, so from the very beginning of the month to the end of the month, and then I decide, this sounds way more complicated than it is. It really doesn't take me that long. Then I decide which photos I want to sort of group together. So if there's like a bunch of photos from one event, I'll usually put those on one spread. Like if it's somebody's birthday and I have a bunch of photos, I'll just do one spread of that person's birthday. Now, usually what happens is after I sort the photos like that, I end up coming out with some photos that are just random or are like little things. Like, for example, a photo of my brother and I going to Starbucks. That's the one photo that's in the middle there. Or a photo of this really beautiful candle that had all this like sunshine coming out of it, which I just had to take a photo of. Or my Studio Calico kit coming in the mail. And so what I do is I usually generally put those on one page and call it the little things or random or something like that. And I love that phrase, the little things, because sometimes I think life is made up of those little things. Like it's not anything crazy or huge events. It's the little moments like going out for breakfast with your mom to Cora's or going out for dinner with your mom getting nachos or meeting with my Bible study every week that I just love those moments. So this Studio Calico kit, one of them came with this phrase, the little things, which I think is just perfect for these kinds of pages. And so I'm definitely going to use that stamp on this layout. So now that I've sort of given you a little idea into how I do my process, that's for picking the photos. And then my process for making the pages stays the same every time. I select the photos and place them where I want to on the page. Then I select the Project Life cards that I know I want to use. So I had this one card that said February and it was a calendar, so I definitely wanted to use that. And I also, I love that light pink. So I knew that I wanted to go with that light pink color. And then when I was going through some of the cards that I received this month, there was this really cool like geometric minty colored card that's off to the right there, and I wanted to use that. So then I had the pink and the mint, and then I was like, I just want to find other cards for my stash. So I ended up grabbing this like floral print where the candle photo is on, and it had that pink and that mint, and it also had this really beautiful like mustardy yellow. So it's like, okay, perfect. Those are my colors for this page: pink, mint, and yellow. And then I didn't really have any other cards that really worked, so I ended up going into my stash and grabbing a 6x6 paper pad and cutting some papers out of that. Now I believe it's a Dear Lizzie paper pad. So I have one that's like pink, one with the brown polka dots, one with little words on it. It might also be a crepe paper, I can't remember. And then a yellow stripe paper. And I just cut those into 4x6s. And then I used the 2x6 pieces that I had left over to add those to the paper. So I layered one on the polka dot paper and then one on the photo collage of my Bible study girls. And then I am just figuring out how I want to lay out the rest of the papers and the photos here. And I'm going to stick those down using some double-sided tape from X-Press-It, which is my go-to double-sided tape. Now, I tend to use my hot glue gun for embellishments and things like that, but whenever I use my hot glue gun on photos, I get some horrified comments from people being like, oh no, don't do that. So I try to use double-sided tape on photos and then use the hot glue for everything else just because it's so much easier. And I couldn't be bothered with tape runners because they end up running out so quickly that it just doesn't work for me. So once I figure out where I want the photo to go, I stick it down and then I immediately grab my roller date stamp and stamp the date. And the reason is because the date is on the back of the photo, so in order to not forget when the photo was taken, I have to do it right away or else I would forget. And all of these photos were taken like throughout February. Like for example, the photos in the bottom of my mom and I, one's breakfast and one's a dinner, were both taken on February 5th. The coffee date one was February 28th. The candle was February 3rd. The studio calico box was February 5th. And then the Bible study ones were February 2nd. So a little bit all over the place. So that's why I'm stamping the dates right away because I really don't want to forget. Now there was this one Project Life card that had those two labels on it, and I didn't really like the color of the card, but I liked the labels, so I cut around the labels and used those on that top delivery card. And then there was this other card that had this title that said, "This was a good day," and it had all these beautiful colors on those. And again, I didn't like the card, but I liked the title, so I'm just using my little scissors to trim around the words that say "This was a good day." And I'm going to stick that along the side of that photo collage of my mom and I at a Mexican restaurant. And it really was a good day. All of a sudden, like I think it was a Saturday maybe, or what day of the week it is, I can't remember. And my mom was like, let's go out for breakfast. So then she took me out for breakfast. And then after breakfast, she was like, let's go shopping at Michael's, which of course Michael's is my favorite store. And then she's like, let's go to Winners. So then we went to Winners and Starbucks. And then she was like, hey, let's go for Mexican. Like, because by this time we had already run a bunch of errands and it was dinner time. So we had gone out for breakfast, gone shopping, ran a bunch of errands. And then she's like, let's go for Mexican. So then we went for Mexican. So it was basically like we just had a huge girls' day and just did whatever we want, which was just so sweet. And my mom is just so nice to me. She's so lovely. So I definitely wanted to document that. And then the rest of the photos, or the corners for all the cards, I'm just rounding with my corner chopper just because I have to do that. And then I am, again, stamping the date on the delivery package so I won't forget. And now I'm just going to add some embellishments to the page just to keep it simple. I don't end up adding that much, but I'll walk you through what I add. And I try to keep in that same color tone family of the like pinks, yellows, and the mint. I also add a little brown in there and a little black. So I grabbed this one diamond that had black and white, like it had like a little text on it, and it reminded me of the pages of my Bible. So I thought that would be cool for a collage of my Bible study group. So I just stuck that in the point where the photos meet, which I love putting objects in those points. I don't know. I think it really draws them all together and makes them look like they go together. I also grabbed these little cork plus signs, and I'm gonna add a few of those on the page. So I end up adding 3 on that card of my mom and I having breakfast, as well as 3 on the February calendar card. So I grab a big one and 2 little ones. That way there's just a little bit of a difference, and I sort of put them like in a climbing motion up the side there. Oh, and I also added one little tiny one to those 2 labels. I like doing this on Project Life spreads where you take one embellishment and you put it on 3 places or on multiple cards. I love how it makes something look cohesive. So I do that. I also am going to grab some washi tape and use a little bit of washi tape. One of the washi tapes I got this month had gold plus signs on it. I'm going to use a little piece of that. And then another one had hashtags on it, and I'm going to use one that says hashtag date night and stick that there. I wanted to add the date somehow on this card of my mama and I at a Mexican restaurant. So I ended up grabbing this pink banner, and I'm going to stick that on the underneath that collage, and that's where I will stamp the date for that card. Oh, this is where I'm grabbing that washi tape, which I'm just going to stick off to the side there. I felt like it just needed a little something to balance the title, "This Was a Good Day," that I had stuck down there. I like to make sure it's balanced, and I mean, balance is whatever you think it is, right? So, I mean, that's probably not true. But to me, you can make it look balanced to you however you want. So for me, putting the washi tape on one side and the title on the other looked balanced. And then lately, I have been trying to use my stamps more. So I'm going to be grabbing the stamp set that came in the Studio Calico Pop Art Project Life kit. And it has these little plus signs on it, which I thought would go well since I'm already using plus signs on this layout. Like I have the cork plus signs plus that washi tape, which has little plus signs. And I wanted to add something to that card where the geometric mint print is, but I wanted to keep it simple. So I'm going to use the stamp set to do that. So I just grabbed some gray ink from Studio Calico, and I stamped that title that says "The Little Things" on top of the February calendar card. And then I used the little plus sign to stamp a whole bunch of X's on a geometric print. Put a couple togethers and then some spread out. Let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I use an odd number, which is what I tend to do just to make it look balanced for me. And then I'm going to stick 2 of those little plus signs around the date on the More card as well, where I have these Starbucks coffee cups. And then I'm going to add some sentiment strips from my stash. I grab one that says coffee, and I'm going to stick that on the photo of my brother and I's Starbucks. I also grab one that says "I love you," and I'm going to stick that on the card of my mom and I going out for breakfast, which I fit like works perfectly. And then on that photo of the candle, I'm going to keep that card pretty simple. I just add this one that says "Dream on Dreamer," which I thought was pretty. And then I'm going to grab my pen and do some journaling, and I'm just going to write about how my Bible study began studying Acts, how my Studio Calico package came and it feels like Christmas. I mean, I write a little bit more than that. And then about how Josh just knows me. He took me to get Starbucks. And then about the date that I went on with my mom that I already told you about, like all the things that we did. And how we went out for Mexican. And my mom and I love Mexican, especially guacamole. So we always get extra guacamole. And other than that, the layout is pretty much done. I'm going to slow it down, hold up all the cards so you can see them. And thank you everyone for liking, commenting, and subscribing. I hope you have a lovely day. Bye!